Alright, YouTube, we're back, of course, talking some Final Fantasy IX. We're talking the remake. It is still the 25th anniversary. It's still the 7th here. We have two updates that are potentially conflicting because one seems to be a positive and the other is definitely a negative. We'll start with the positive, I guess. What we have is the Memoria Project account on Twitter seemingly teasing something, maybe, and it's kind of hard to totally understand what they're teasing. The Memoria Project, of course, is the fan-made remake, essentially, of Final Fantasy IX. Square Enix had tweeted out yesterday about the 25th anniversary, to which they quote-tweeted saying, "When are we going to tell them at Square Enix?" That by itself got people hyped for a couple reasons. For starters, people could take that as, like, maybe the Memoria Project was the IX Remake the entire time. That'd be a little bit weird because they were, openly talking about it all the time. It'd be kind of strange to be doing that if it was, like, an actual Square Enix product. Or people have speculated that maybe they hired these guys to do the actual IX Remake, right? Or maybe take the Memoria Project and make it the official IX Remake, something along those lines. Just on the surface level of that tweet, it seems like they have some sort of relationship with Square Enix, right? Like, when are we going to tell them, Square Enix, like, about, I guess, the IX Remake or whatever the hell? They also replied to a couple of tweets. This person talked about the IX Remake. They replied with, "We're right here." So essentially, they are the IX Remake, right? The Memoria Project. They did also reply to Audrey on Twitter, who was talking about the IX Remake, and they just said, "You called." Ultimately, I think it's just these guys kind of messing around on Twitter, right? Because FF9's popular to talk about right now. They're working on an FF9 project. It's the 25th anniversary of the game. They're technically working on a remake of the game, even though it's not, it would seem, an official remake. And while it would be cool if, like, the Memoria Project this entire time was some sort of, like, secret official IX Remake that they were just kind of publicly talking about through these people, that'd be awesome. But that's not really anything that Square Enix has ever done, as far as I'm aware. It'd be cool if they would do it. There's a first time for everything, I guess, technically. But it would seem like this is probably just kind of nothing. They're just kind of hopping on the FF9 trend because it's popular to talk about right now. So when it comes to the Memoria Project, like, it's definitely beautiful to look at, right? But if I remember correctly, it's not ever meant to be public, right? It's not meant for us to be able to play. It's just, a passion project for them that they're doing. They're showing it to everybody. They're showing off, the trailers and gameplay and stuff. But it's really just for them, which is, like, it's cool to look at. But if I can't ever play it, I really don't give a shit, personally. Yeah, that was the kind of positive, right? That actually kind of turns into a negative. Just because I don't think there's any substance to them being the ones doing the IX Remake. I think it's just them, people talking about the IX Remake. Hey, we're the IX Remake. Don't forget about us. We're over here. Don't forget about Memoria Project, right? Something along those lines. It's, whatever. Anyways, moving on to the actual, for sure, negative. What we have is an update from Nate the Hate, who is a very reliable insider that we've referenced a lot on the channel here in terms of Square Enix stuff. And the last he had heard, the IX Remake was in some sort of, like, development kind of trouble or potentially canceled, which is just a swift kick to my dick and balls. So I believe this originates on ResetEra with Nate Drake, which is Nate the Hate's ResetEra account, to which he says, "As of last check, it remains in development to my knowledge, but I need to do a fresh check and see what a more current status is. As I did hear a month or so ago that it was in trouble and possibly canceled, I only had one source on that cancellation possibility and need to verify the info further." He repeated some similar info on Twitter yesterday. Somebody asked if the cancellation was true or whatever. He says, "I only have one source from a month ago saying the game is in trouble and possibly canceled. I need to check the info further and see if I can confirm with more sources." Another person tagged him. He said, "Still working to get confirmation, but a month ago I was told it was in trouble and may have been shelved." There's also a very recent reply as I'm making the video here. This person says, "I'm not following you. Do you mean games get canceled in a general sense, or are you implying the FF9 remake got canceled?" The tweet I'm replying to implied I'm canceling Final Fantasy IX due to a bad prediction. I'm simply saying that games can get canceled in general. I do not have confirmation that Final Fantasy IX has been canceled at present. There is some more replies and things, but we don't need to read them all. You get the point, right? So, according to Nate the Hate, who is a very reliable leaker from what I've been following on the channel, the last he had heard, it was in either some sort of development trouble or potentially canceled, which just fucking hurts. Now, it's not a confirmation of it being canceled. It's not even really a confirmation of it being in development trouble because, like he said, he only had one source on that piece of information, right? He needs to check with some other sources next. So we'll have an update at some point, I'm sure, if he has other people to get info from in terms of the IX Remake, of whether or not it is in development trouble still or potentially canceled. But I will say, though, if the IX Remake did get canceled, dude, that would fucking suck. Like, we know they canceled a bunch of random projects, like, a year or so ago, whatever it was. I think we were told about $100 million worth of projects, something along those lines. And if the IX Remake was one of those things, dude, especially with the 25th anniversary coming up, if they were just like, we're just going to cancel it. We don't want to complete it, I guess. Or we can't finish it for some reason in time, or whatever the reason might be. Like, god damn it, dude. We've been talking about this shit for like 4 fucking years at this point. It sucks. Also, I'm very curious why I'd be in development trouble. Like, I'm not pretending like game development's easy. Of course it's not. It's complicated. But, like, what degree are they going to for a remake that they would even be in development trouble? Because all you have to do is visually remake the game, right? Which isn't necessarily easy. And then, I personally want voice acting. You don't necessarily have to have it, but I do want voice acting. And then you tweak the combat and some stuff. And then that's it. You don't even have to change nothing. You don't even have to do a ground-up remake. You don't have to try to do FF7 remake. You don't need to do a 3D world action combat. Nothing, dude. Just make the game better, tweak some elements that need to be tweaked from the original game, and that's fucking it. And that's your remake. And ultimately, for the majority of people out there, that's what they want from a remake. They don't want you to do anything new necessarily. A lot of people don't even want you to necessarily add new stuff. They just want a visual remake. You know, what we didn't get for 7 Remake. I love 7 Remake. I love 7 Rebirth. I'm excited for Part 3. But there was a pretty large portion of FF7 fans that just essentially wanted a visual remake. They didn't want them to change anything or add anything, which is a little ridiculous in my opinion. But maybe do like an HD 2D remake sort of thing for the original FF7. And maybe you add voice acting, maybe you don't. I don't know, whatever. But it's kind of what people wanted from a 7 Remake initially in the early days, right? But the fact that we're years into knowing this game exists and they're in some development trouble still makes me wonder what kind of a remake it is, like how big of a remake it is, right? Because we've known about it for like 4 years now, roughly. But the fact that it's a part of the NVIDIA leak makes me wonder how long it was in development before that, because, you know, like the Tactics remaster that's coming out very soon has been at least conceptualized since like 2019, 2018, something like that. It's been around for a very long time. And they didn't really start working on it until like after 16, of course. So it didn't take them that damn long to make it. But like a 9 remake now, I wonder, like, is it like a 7 remake thing? Because we've heard conflicting shit over the years from different insiders about it not being that big of a remake, not necessarily comparable to 7 remake, but the fact that they've been making this game for like years now potentially, and it's still in development trouble. It's like, goddamn, like what are they doing exactly with it? And when it comes to the 9 remake situation right now, potentially in development hell, potentially canceled, whatever, I've seen people try to like argue like, oh, the game that was never officially announced, Square Enix never officially confirmed it, it never truly existed, that sort of thing. And it's like, what does that matter? You know, the NVIDIA leak was, for the most part, true. Like, and I think when it comes to Square Enix, at this point, it's just 9 remake, right? Like, because we have Tactics now. So, like, clearly, that list was true, at least for Square Enix so far. Everything besides 9 remake has come true. And I do tend to forget to mention in videos, we also had the Epic Store leak for FF9 Remake, which was like a pre-order bonus item of like a Tetris starter pack or something, thief knives, and a cuisine set. Along the way, we've had people like Nate the Hate and other industry insiders that have confirmed the existence of the 9 Remake outside of just the NVIDIA leak, right? That's kind of always been the point here when we talk about the 9 Remake on this channel, is that it exists. It is a thing. Whether or not it comes out at this point, that's a different story, I guess, at this, you know, whatever might happen here in the future. But it's always been about it existing. That's what we're hyped about, talking about it and speculating on what it is and when it might come out and things like that, right? It's never not been a game that does exist. It 100% exists. It's a real game. But if it's in development hell or canceled, that remains to be seen. Pretty much the video, my dudes. We'll definitely do some sort of a follow-up in the hopefully near future if we get some more info from Nate the Hate about the state of 9 Remake, where it's at currently, at least according to his inside people, I guess. I still have hope, you know, I still have the copium. I'll never let go of the possibility of a 9 Remake. I still am hopeful that it'll come out one day. If it's in development hell, it could be another, you know, year or two, couple years. Who knows exactly what state they're in currently. I don't know, man. It sucks, you know. I know people have talked about the possibility of it being canceled a long time ago, along with those, you know, the cancellation thing they did however long ago, and also just kind of in general, because we weren't hearing about it over the years that maybe it had been canceled or some shit like that. Fuck. But again, it is just one source from Nate the Hate, and it's just one person saying that, and that could just be some misinformation on their part, or maybe their information's old, and he talks to somebody else, and the game is perfectly fine, and maybe comes out in the near future. That remains to be seen. That's the video, my dudes. Subscribe to me if you guys are new. Social networks in the description below. Follow me on Twitter, @DaveYT. That's it. Bye.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Rogaine, or leave it like Cobain.